From Canada, Citizens Forum, where we look at the important issues of the day through a lens of democracy and media and try to figure out, how do we build a better country for ourselves?
Hello and welcome to From Canada, Citizens Forum. It is Thursday, July the 17th, 2025. I'm going to be talking today, my name is Jack Etkin. I'm going to be talking about the corporate assault on democracy in Canada and beginning the fight to get our democracy back. Now, you may not agree that democracy is under attack in Canada. The official story is that we have a wonderful democracy in Canada. I'm somebody who is very interested in democracy. I've been following it for 15 or 20 years as closely as I can. And I think our democracy is largely gone. And I think the reason it's gone is because corporate Canada, big business, and the 0.01%, the super rich, have been running a decades-long campaign to remove the public from any decision-making and put that decision-making in the hands of big business and the rich. And the rest of us are irrelevant. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. And there's going to be a follow-up piece. And in the follow-up piece, I want to talk about how the things we have to do to get our democracy back. But in this first piece, I just want to talk about democracy is important, and I don't think we've got much anymore. So, in my opinion, our democracy here in Canada has mostly been stolen from us by big business and the super rich. And it's very important for our futures to begin to do the work needed to get at least some of our democracy back, because democracy is important. It's something we seldom talk about in Canada, except that they always tell us we are a great democracy. But democracy is important in our everyday lives, and we need more of it. And democracy means that we, the people, have a voice in our governance. And we, the people, have a voice in what our governments are doing to us. Because if we don't have a voice, and I argue that we don't, then we are not a democracy. Do you think we have a voice right now? Or do you think that big business has the big voice and the rest of us are basically powerless and irrelevant? For example, I think we could have almost completely avoided the entire housing disaster of the past 15 or 20 years if we had more democracy in Canada. Did you ever vote for millions of Canadians to have to pay back-breaking rents and back-breaking mortgages so that the bankers and financiers and investors and speculators and big landowners could make fortunes? I don't think we would have voted for that. But the fact is that we didn't have a vote. Only the rich had a vote. And they did the housing crisis to us because they had the power to do it, and we had no power to protect ourselves. And that is the state of democracy here in Canada in 2025. It's a mess. And you'll notice that the question, where is all the money from people's high rents and people's high mortgages? Where is that money going? And that is a question that never gets asked. And another question is, how come we never had this problem before, but suddenly 15 or 20 years ago it started and has grown ever worse? Right? Why? Why was something that was never a problem in Canada? Rents used to be cheap. House prices used to be cheap. They didn't change that much. If you wanted to rent a place, you had a choice of here, 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 or here. But now that's gone. And the housing crisis has become a real disaster for a lot of people. But at the same time, a lot of money has been made. And I would argue that that is just one of the prices we are paying because we've lost our democracy. And this is what happens to people when they become powerless and when they don't have a voice. They get taken advantage of. We get taken advantage of by some very bad people who want only more for themselves. That's all they care about. And to hell with anyone else. And that's what was done to us with this housing crisis, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But when I look at the past 20 years and see what was done and how it was done, I think I'm right. Our loss of democracy is also, in my opinion, the exact reason why half of us are now going to get cancer in our life, because the corporations can poison us with just about as much of anything as they want to poison us with, because we are powerless to stop them. They control the governments, they own the media, and they can do what they want. And they're doing it to us. And that's why half of us, according to the statistics, now will get cancer. We all have plastic in our brains now. Did we ever vote for that? Our foods are filled with GMOs and chemicals and whatever else a corporation wants to put in so they can make a little bit more money. Did we ever vote for that? Who makes tax policy in Canada? It's certainly not the poor. And so our tax policies have been changed over the past 50 years, so the poor pay more and more, and the rich pay less and less, and the corporations often pay nothing. Did we vote for that? Environmental policy is the same. Our environmental policy in Canada is made by the logging corporations and the chemical companies and big oil and the mining companies and the frackers, and to hell with anyone or anything unlucky enough to get in their way, right? Because they will destroy everything to make their money. That's all they care about. And if that's what the people of Canada want, then so be it. But we don't have a voice, and that is a big problem. Does Canada have government of the people? Or do we have government of big business and the super rich? And is that important? And do we even care? And how come that never gets talked about? Who controls our governments? Is it the poor? Is it working people? Is it the environmental groups? Or is it big business and the super rich? And the answer to that question to me is pretty obvious. And it's not the answer I want to hear, but it's the way it is. And remember, big business and the super rich also own and control almost all the big media in Canada and North America. And if we trust their media and believe what they're telling us, then it makes it much easier for them to control us and steal from us. So we should always be very careful before believing anything they tell us. For example, all the nice corporate journalists on radio and television who we watch and listen to, remember, they don't work for us. They work for very big corporations. And if they say anything the corporation doesn't like, then they are not going to be a corporate journalist tomorrow. They'll be fired. And it's always worthwhile to keep that sad fact about our so-called free press in mind. They do not work for us. Not CBC or CTV or CNN or Fox or any of them. Neither do the people on all the radio stations or at the newspapers. They don't work for us. And neither do the fact checkers at Facebook or Google. Right? It's total control of what we think of as a free press. And it's very powerful because the media is powerful. And democracy requires a free press. And we don't have one anymore, which is a big part of the reason why our democracy is so much gone. Corporate control of the media is a big reason why democracy never gets talked about in the media. Democracy is just about the last thing they want us thinking about or talking about. It's much better to have us talking about crime and gender and sports, etc. So that stuff is always in the news, while many, many other things that they don't want us talking about, including democracy, don't get a mention. So I would argue that democracy is important, and I would say that here in Canada, we've just about lost our democracy. So how do we start to get it back? In my opinion, step one is that we have to want to get some democracy back. We have to realize that democracy is important and we have to realize that it's mostly gone, and we have to be willing to start to do the work needed to get some democracy back. And it can be done. If we make the decision en masse to start working to rebuild our democracy, we can do it. One way to do it, is for Canadians to start to join our favorite political parties, whatever party that may be. Join your favorite party. And then we have to start to work together to democratize our political parties. In other words, we have to make sure that the party members have a lot more control over our political parties. And the people at the top of the party, they have to have a lot less power and control, because democracy means government of, by, and for the people, not government of the leadership, not government of the corporation, not government of the rich, but government of the people. And one way we can do something is to take back our political parties, just democratize them, move the power into the hands of the members as far as possible. I just spent 2 years in the BC New Democratic Party, the NDP, which is the governing party here in British Columbia. And I can tell you that the BC NDP is, in my opinion, a democratic nightmare. I think the party is completely run by a small gang at the top, and the party members are powerless and irrelevant. In my opinion, the BC NDP is completely undemocratic, and they are the government of this province. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the people at the top of the BC NDP really are a democratic group. But after having been in the party for 2 years, I don't think they're democratic at all. And I think it is a very dangerous situation when we lose complete control of our political parties. Because if our political parties and our governments aren't controlled by us, then who does control them? And who are they working for? And that is a very big and important question. And I don't want to pick on the BC NDP, because I have a feeling that all the other big parties are pretty much exactly the same. But again, if people get involved, if we try to get involved in our political parties, whatever your favorite party is, and start to work for and fight for some real democracy in the party. Yeah, you can fight for the things you want, whatever that may be, higher taxes, lower taxes, protect the environment, destroy the environment. But that's not the issue. The issue is to move the power in the party into the hands of the party members and away from the hands of the party leadership, because from what I've seen, they cannot and should not be trusted. But if we can get some real democracy, then I think it is possible to make some real advances in Canada relatively quickly. And I think we will see that any steps we can take towards having a bit more democracy, any steps we can take in that direction will begin to pay off for us very quickly. But success in this endeavor will take commitment and organization and work, because those who run things now are not going to give up their power and their wealth without a fight. But if we want to have a future, and if we want to save a future for the generations to come, I think that more democracy is a very good place to start. And next time I'll talk about 5 or 6 things, concrete things that we can do to build the democracy we need. And I'll just list them off. The first step, again, is to decide that democracy is important and get into the fight to get the democracy we need. But we also need a free press. We need voting reform. We need parliamentary reform. We need strong public oversight of the political parties to make sure that whoever is running the party is doing so honestly and fairly and democratically, because that's not happening now. I think we need more citizens assemblies. That's another thing. And finally, perhaps some direct democracy, which are referendums where people, the public, can actually vote. So those steps, a free press, voting reform, parliamentary reform, public oversight of the political parties, and a couple of other things. Those are concrete things that we can do. But again, step one is to realize that democracy is important, that our loss of democracy is costing us a lot. And we have to decide that we want to get it back, because if we don't make that decision, then nothing else is going to happen. Democracy. Thank you all very much for watching this segment of From Canada, Citizens Forum.